It's the day we've all been waiting for. Live, this is the Hard 90 on opening day 2021. It's April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody, and happy opening day. It is our holiday to celebrate our annual pastime. And it has been 5 months since we last had Major League Baseball that counted. And the last baseball that counted was in Texas. And now we're getting it all across the country. And we are just so happy that it's actually happening. We got a great show for you today. This episode's being released on the 1st of April. It's a special edition Hard 90 episode. We're releasing a couple days in advance because, we got to do an episode for opening day. So we're here. We're doing it. And the Hard 90 is underway. And you're probably listening to this either on opening day or after opening day, and you're probably just glad that baseball is back like me. So we're going to run through this opening day special. We got a great show. We're going to talk over MLB's $200,000 opening day pick'em. And by now, if you're listening to this, the contest is probably done. It's probably over. So hopefully you entered into that. It was no purchase necessary, but I'll get into that later. We're also going to discuss a potential very interesting development in Major League Baseball leading up to opening day. That'll be coming later. And also some 2021 season predictions down to the record of what I think will happen this year in Major League Baseball. We're talking divisions, we're talking division series, wild card, NL and ALCS, and of course the World Series. And then we're finishing up the show with some hot takes that rake. We're bringing back that segment that debuted in the World Series. So we're just getting started. So opening day, April 1st, 2021, we got an awesome slate of baseball games. And man, I'm just so happy to, be able to sort of sit back and watch as they go. So let's go through the MLB's $2,000 opening day pick'em. So that was a thing you could have entered into where you pick the winner of each game on opening day. 15 games, pick 15 winners. And then, in case there's a tie, you pick the amount of home runs hit on opening day and then the total amount of runs through all 30 teams. And hopefully after that, a winner is declared. So I'm going to run through my answers, what I chose for the teams that I think are going to win today, April 1st, opening day. Leading off the day, it'll be Toronto and New York, the Blue Jays and the Yankees, and this is going to be an excellent series. I have the Yankees. They're starting out with Garrett Cole on the mound, and this game is in the Bronx, and it's hard to beat the Yankees just about anywhere, but even harder in the Bronx in New York. So I'm taking the Yankees to win their first game of the year. After that, the Cleveland Indians are in Detroit, the Motor City, to face the Tigers, and I have the Indians in this one. Shane Bieber, reigning Cy Young Award winner. It's kind of hard to go against him too, so I'm going to pick the Indians and Shane Bieber, to win their first game of the year. Then the Baltimore Orioles travel to New England to face the Boston Red Sox. I have the Red Sox in this one. Nathan Eovaldi is taking the mound. This is a decent Red Sox team that might shock a few people. They might go on a couple runs here and there. No one really expects much of them this year, but I think they might be a sleeper for a playoff spot. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then the Minnesota Twins head to Milwaukee, and this was kind of a toss-up here because both of these teams went to the playoffs last year. Although the Twins had a little bit of a better record, and Milwaukee scraped in even with a record below 500. So I actually have the Twins in this one. Kenta Maeda, who is a Cy Young Award candidate in the AL, is starting in an opening day game for Minnesota. So I have the Twins in that one. The next one, the Pirates go to Chicago to play the Cubs. Again, that's another divisional game. The Pirates are going to suck this year, just heads up. So hopefully you didn't pick the Pirates. I had Kyle Hendricks and the Cubs winning their opening day matchup out in Wrigley. The next one, the Atlanta Braves traveled to Philadelphia to play the Phillies and Bryce Harper. And guys, I got to tell you, this one was probably the biggest toss-up for me of the day because it's a divisional rival against each other. Atlanta coming off of a very tough year where they We're up 3-1 against the Dodgers in the ALCS, one game away from going to the World Series for the first time since the 90s, and they let it slip through their grasp. And the Phillies, with the team something to prove, spending money like it's nobody's business and getting zero results. So Phillies got something to prove, and so do the Braves. So that'll be a good one. I have the Phillies taking down the Braves in this one, actually. I don't know. Baseball's an unpredictable sport, so I'm kind of going with my gut here. No real rhyme or reason, and I kind of have that mentality going into the rest of the day, but, we'll see. Maybe you'll agree, and hopefully these teams win. The next one on the slate, the Dodgers, the defending World Series champion, travel to the Colorado Rockies up in Denver, and like the Pirates, guys, the Rockies are going to suck this year, too. They traded Nolan Arenado in one of the most embarrassing trades in modern Major League Baseball history. The Dodgers got their guy, Clayton Kershaw, going up. It's a very, very hitterish team right now, and they're just waltzing into an opening day where they're the favorite to win it all again. So I got the Dodgers winning on opening day in Colorado. The next one, Arizona at San Diego. And another team to keep your eye on, the Padres this year. They might be the second best team in baseball. They might win 100 games this year, but they might also finish second in their own division. And the NL West, when you look at the Dodgers and the Padres, is going to be the best matchup all season. But unfortunately, that's not the matchup today. But in this case, with San Diego at home, I'm taking the Padres over their division rival, the Diamondbacks. The next one on the slate, the St. Louis Cardinals travel to the Queen City and face the Cincinnati Reds. Also another toss-up, Jack Flaherty on the mound for St. Louis. The Reds are kind of how do I put it? They're a team that can't really quite push through, and they have talent, don't get me wrong, and they're playing in a very hitterish ballpark. But, with the loss of Trevor Bauer and the rest of that squad, it's going to be tough to put together a decent season for this team, especially over 162 games, let alone 60. So I have the Cardinals and Jack Flaherty on the road winning this one. The next one, the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals. This will be a battle for the basement in the AL West. Again, another toss-up here. I have the Rangers winning this one, and I very well could have chosen the Royals. A lot of positives on both sides, but man, it was tough to choose. So Texas Rangers in this one, hopefully they come back to win. The next one, Tampa Bay Rays are traveling to Miami to face the Miami Marlins, and I'm picking the Rays here. Tyler Glasnow is starting for the Rays here in this one. Went to the World Series representing the AL. Unfortunately lost to the Dodgers in 6 games. Those guys got a club, even though they lost a couple of big arms. Blake Snell going to the Padres, and this team, and Charlie Morton also going to the Braves. This team still has a lot of talent, but I don't think they're going to go back to the World Series anytime soon. But in this game against the Marlins, I got the Rays. The Mets now go to Washington, another division rival game. Jacob deGrom's on the mound, ladies and gentlemen. He's the best pitcher in baseball. He is going up against Max Scherzer, which is the best pitching matchup of the day, and that'll be low scoring unless something crazy happens and someone just comes out with a B flat. I'm taking Jacob deGrom and the Mets with Lindor and all those tools they have. So the Mets over the Nationals. Only 3 to go, guys. The White Sox are traveling to Anaheim to face Trout and the Angels, and I got the White Sox in this one, and I've been really high on the White Sox for the last couple of years, and I'm very high on this team this year, too. They've acquired a few other pieces. They have Lance Lynn as well, who, again, was in that Cy Young candidacy for the AL. And look, the Angels, they had expectations of Trevor Bauer and all these superstars, and they get Kurt Suzuki and a couple of other guys. It's disappointing. But with that being said, I'm taking the White Sox on the road in this one. The Houston Astros against the Oakland A's out in the Bay. I'm taking the Athletics in this one. This is another sort of, coin flip, 50-50. Both have talent. It might come down to, the final couple innings and which team just sort of holds on at the end. So Really no deep analysis on this one, just kind of hoping for the best with the Athletics. And the last one, the San Francisco Giants face off against the Seattle Mariners. Kind of funny, I almost said the 49ers. The San Francisco Giants, I actually have winning this one. They always seem to start the season on the road. And that's something I have noticed when talking with my buddy Kevin, who's been on the show a couple times. He's a Giants fan, and he's always said, man, why don't we ever get to start the season at home? And I started paying attention to it, and yeah, the Giants never start at home. And that's continuing into 2021. So I have the Giants winning on the road, just for the good vibes for them. Maybe they feel like they're at home. I mean, it's Seattle, so it's not that far away. But no, in all seriousness, the Mariners are a good team. I don't think they'll be competing for a playoff spot this year yet. Kyle Lewis, the AL Rookie of the Year, looked tremendous last year, and the ceiling's only getting higher for him. So, take a look at that one though. And I got the Giants winning. So to recap, I have the Yankees, Indians, Red Sox, Twins, Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers, Padres, Cardinals, Rangers, Rays, Mets, White Sox, Athletics, and Giants winning on opening day in 2021. And hey, if I get all of them right, MLB might have to look at my other answers. So the total home runs during these games, I have 43. Now, there's really no rhyme or reason, and just kind of thinking about it, you can have as little as 15 or as much as 60. Again, no rhyme or reason, but just thinking about it, 30 teams, that's a little over one home run for each team. A couple teams will hit 2, several teams won't hit any. Just playing the numbers game. And then the total amount of runs, I have 128. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason. 15 games, 128 runs. I don't know, guys. Truthfully, I don't really know. But those are my teams and scores and home runs and runs that I picked for the $200,000 prize, which is being presented by Loan Depot. So, hey, if you competed in this and you're taking a look at these games this afternoon, I wish you luck. Because $200,000 on the line. Who doesn't love $200,000? As we move on, though, in the show, there was a very interesting development on the 31st yesterday. There was a tweet that was sent out that basically was talking to you, Darvish, and Darvish had mentioned that he kind of hopes Major League Baseball and the Players Association talked, last night, Wednesday night, about a switch and adding the universal DH at the 11th hour. And, he was quoted as saying, I'd love to, I kind of hope they do this. For me, I would love that. The universal DH is something that baseball desperately needs because, with pitchers hitting, it risks their injury, and that's the biggest case. And they risk injury, it's not exciting, it kills a rally, and baseball does not need rally killers in the midst of a period in time when baseball is struggling to keep fans to other sports like basketball and football and, the rise of soccer in the United States. We're talking over generations, not, within weeks. But baseball has a legitimate issue on their hands. And, this has been talked about by many people, myself included, over the years. But a universal DH would only help. Because universal DH means one more hitter in the lineup, and the pitcher doesn't have to hit. Why does that help? Well, number one, a pitcher gets to focus on what he gets paid to do, and that's to throw a ball, not to hit one. Second, there are more jobs for guys who are sort of slow and can't field the ball, but who can hit like nobody's business. For example, even though he doesn't play right now, a guy that comes to mind immediately is David Ortiz, one of the best designated hitters of all time. Even though he was a lifelong Red Sox, just imagine if he hit the free agent market without a universal DH, he's relegated to 15 teams. But with a universal DH, more jobs open up for a larger pool of players, and instead of 15 teams that could take him in, now it's 30. So bidding wars would begin, and that's only good for baseball. Another key is that more runs are scored, because if the pitcher doesn't hit, rallies likely stay alive, because designated hitters can hit anywhere in the order. Pitchers usually always hit ninth, but if you're named Shohei Ohtani, you're hitting second. But the very typical pitcher hits ninth. And, let's say you put in a David Ortiz. He's hitting fourth in your lineup, and he's your DH. So you have a 1 through 9 that's comprehensive, and that can all hit the ball. That keeps rallies alive. And guess what rallies do? It's exciting. It gets people to watch. And an all-universal DH World Series last year was awesome. It was a 6-game series, but it was awesome. And I honestly can't talk. I don't know if there's someone out there who can dispute those arguments, because yes, a DH does create the differentiation that baseball is used to between the two leagues, and that's unique. And that's also what is historic about baseball, and that's the tradition of the National League. Well, for those, I raise a point that the National League almost got the designated hitter in the 1950s, and there was a vote put on it, and it didn't go through by one vote. So NL managers or owners literally voted on this 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and almost approved it. So we wouldn't be talking about this if that had happened, obviously, but a universal DH would solve a lot of problems in Major League Baseball, and one of the biggest ones is it wouldn't risk injury to pitchers. And I think that's one of the biggest ones, because pitchers are getting paid more than they ever have been, and you see guys like Trevor Bauer, who are now starting to, vlog his experience through his baseball career, and we're going to have more players like that coming through who want to share their experience behind closed doors and try to get youth involved in baseball. And I love what Trevor Bauer's doing there. But I was watching one of his vlogs recently, and he was in the batting cage and complaining about his elbow and things like that. And if you're a fan of Trevor Bauer, if you're a fan of the Dodgers or the Reds or the Indians or whoever he's playing for, you don't want to hear him complaining about how much his elbow hurts and how he's going to need Tommy John if he takes a full swing. You don't need these guys who you're paying $40 million a year to be worried about something that is literally earning their paycheck, which is their arm. So I just think it's a no-brainer, and baseball should totally do this. And I've spent a lot of time on this, but it's serious, and baseball should totally do it. And it baffles me why they haven't. So if Major League Baseball is going to start this thing, and who knows, because this episode's being recorded on the 31st. Hopefully, by tomorrow, the baseball gods, please, pass the universal DH. Amen. And this just in, the New York Mets and their franchise shortstop Francisco Lindor have agreed to a 10-year, $341 million deal. A source has told ESPN's Jeff Passan. Lindor's deal will actually be the third highest based on total value in MLB history, trailing only Mike Trout of the Angels and Mookie Betts of the Dodgers. In terms of value, Trout got $426.5 million, and Mookie Betts of the Dodgers got $365 million himself. This is significant for a few reasons. Francisco Lindor just traded in the offseason from the Cleveland Indians over to New York. He set himself a self-imposed deadline of opening day to get this deal done, and even this afternoon, Jeff Passan of ESPN had basically said that there wasn't even a deal on the table, and that the Mets and Francisco Lindor had talked it over, but sides were not close on a deal. And here we are, at literally the 11th hour, right before opening day, and the iron has struck, and it is hot. $341 million for Francisco Lindor as he stays in the Big Apple for the next decade. So this has been just in on the Hard 90. So now we move on to the latter half of the show, And now we move on to our 2021 MLB predictions. Now we get to go through all the divisions and see which teams are finishing where and what their records are and all that sort of stuff. So buckle in. And hey, if you got similar rankings, similar standings, let us know. We're on Twitter and Instagram at @thehard_90. So hit us up. And we're going to start with the East, the AL and NL East divisions. I have the Yankees prevailing in the AL East, and I have them winning 97 games this year. Pretty respectable. In the NL East, I have the Atlanta Braves. Now, this is more of a hot topic, and I have the Braves winning 94 games, by the way. The Mets are also a favorite, a betting favorite to win this division. But I like the Braves. They added Charlie Morton. They didn't really let a lot of guys go, and they're a very, very well put together team. The Mets, they added Francisco Lindor, which is a huge improvement, and Carlos Carrasco, which is awesome. But who knows how Noah Syndergaard's going to perform. Yes, he might be amazing like he has been in the past, but he's been riddled with injuries, and there's a lot of question marks. It'll be interesting. I have the Mets winning 89 games. Which is respectable for that team. So we'll see how it goes. But I have the Braves and the Yankees in the East. Now in the Central, I have the White Sox winning the AL Central, winning 96 games. I got the Twins in second at 92. The Twins have won this division so many times and in recent years, and again, I'm just so high on the White Sox, man. This is a young team that's only getting better. Jose Abreu is the AL MVP. Again, they added Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Yasmani Grandal, all these guys that just can flat out hit. Yohan Moncada, I mean, my God. The White Sox, Tim Anderson, again, just to name a few names. And then in the NL Central, and this is kind of interesting because the NL Central is probably the most balanced division of all the divisions. I have the Cardinals winning the Central at 91 games, followed by the Brewers with 89, the Cubs with 87, and the Reds with 81 wins. And then the Pirates are down there at 60 and 102. But the Cardinals, they got Nolan Arenado. They still have Paul Goldschmidt. They still have Jack Flaherty. So a lot of guys who were a part of their postseason adventure last year, which resulted in them losing to the Padres in the Wild Card Series, I think it gets them back to the playoffs, but with a division crown to boot. So now let's move on to the West. Starting with the AL West, I have the Houston Astros winning this division by winning 90 games. The easiest division win, or the least amount of wins, so probably the least competitive division, shall we say. No offense to any of those AL West fans out there. I actually have the Angels. That's right, the Angels finishing second in this division. I have them winning 86 games and the Athletics 85. Now, will this have wild card implications? Just you wait. That'll come up in a second. In the West, I'm going to go non-controversial here and choose the Dodgers, who I think are going to win 106 games this year. Some of you listening might think that's conservative. A couple of you might think that's a little over the top. I think 106 is a nice number because this team will win a lot of games. And in second, pretty obvious, the Padres. I have them winning 99 games. Again, that's a lot of games, but I have them winning 99 games. And then third, the Giants, who actually almost made the playoffs last year. I have them winning 79. So, to recap, I have the Dodgers and the Padres, and then 20 games of difference, and then the Giants, D-backs, and Rockies. It's not even going to be a contest. So to recap, my postseason standings look like this. The Yankees are going to finish at the top in the 1 seed. The White Sox at number 2. The 3rd seed, Astros, followed by the 4th seeded Twins in the playoffs in the wild card with the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays will travel to Minnesota and face the Twins in the wild card series. Now in the NL, I got the Dodgers at the top, finishing at the number 1 seed. The Braves at the number 2, with the Cardinals in the 3rd spot. The Padres finishing 2nd in the NL West with the 4th seed, followed by the New York Mets at the number 5. So those are my wild card seeds. And in terms of the wild card, I got the Blue Jays going to Minnesota and beating the Twins to advance to the ALDS. Why? The Twins have an allergic reaction to the playoffs. They have not won a postseason game, I think, in their last 20 games that they've played. It's a ridiculous stat, and I think that continues in a single elimination, one wildcard game. And as for the Padres and the Mets, let's look at the records. I have the Padres winning 99 games, and I have the Mets winning 89. Again, that's not a huge disparity, but I think over one game, I think the Padres take it. So Padres over Mets, Blue Jays over Twins. Now on to the division series. I got the Yankees over the Blue Jays, a division series, and I have the Yankees winning that 3-1. Pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about these teams, so we're just going to sort of quickly move through this. I also have the White Sox defeating the Astros in 5 games, so 3-2 with the White Sox prevailing in that one. The NL, I got the Dodgers defeating the Padres in probably one of the best NLDSs we've ever seen. A lot better than last year because the Padres were hurt and the Dodgers were just on a mission last year. But it's the Padres who are on a mission this year, but they don't quite get past their arch nemesis from up to 5. LA takes that one 3-2, and the Braves, I think they'll sweep the Cardinals. I think they'll sweep them in the first round, and Atlanta will sweep that series 3-0. So that moves on to the championship series. I got the White Sox over the Yankees, y'all. White Sox or die. A 6-game series, 4-2 White Sox. Why? The Yankees, I mean, that's a great team. But I just think the youth and the combination of youth, talent, experience from your veterans, and just the overall mix of talent prevails over an overhyped Yankees team. And I say overhyped as I call them the 1 seed. I get that. But there's something about the White Sox. It's like an itch I can't scratch. I just can't quite describe it. But I'll know it when I see it. It's one of those things. So I got the White Sox going to the World Series. And as for the NL, a repeat in the NLCS. And unfortunately for Braves fans, they don't get over their demons. And I have the Dodgers winning this series in 5 games, like the Braves should have in 2020. 4-1 Dodgers, and that goes on to the World Series. The Dodgers and the White Sox. 106-56 for LA to 96-66 for Chicago. And this is going to be a great World Series if it happens. And I think it happens because a combination of the Dodgers' depth and just pitching depth, hitting depth, everything, and the White Sox, basically how I just described them. And in the end, I'm going to go with the experts on this one. I'm calling a Dodger repeat. Back-to-back World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers in 2020 and 2021. Say that 5 times fast. I think they'll win this series in 5 games. 4-1. The Dodgers are going to be crowned World Series champs again. And, hey, we'll see. But that's how I see it at this point in time. So now, to wrap up the show, our last segment. It's the hot takes that rake. The first hot take that rakes for me is I feel Shohei Ohtani will not only be healthy this year, but I think he finishes top 3 in AL Cy Young voting. I think he's going to have a great season on the mound. I think he finally figures out his health issues and his mechanical issues, and I think he puts together a great season. And I'm saying this when his last start was against the Dodgers in LA during spring training, where he was taken out while with a trainer walking beside him looking at his hands. This is a hot take, ladies and gentlemen, because this guy's last start was terrible. Now, granted, it was against the best team in the league, but it was terrible. So we'll see how it goes for Shohei Ohtani, but I think there's a lot of potential, and he's just going to blow out. The second, I think the Yankees are finally going to stay healthy this year. There have been issues with Giancarlo Stanton, with Aaron Judge, with Brett Gardner, with you name it for this team. Someone's been hurt. I think the Yankees finally figure it out. And this team is not a walking clinic. I'm not kidding. I think the Yankees finally put it together and they have a great season. And then finally, I'm picking Bryce Harper as my NL MVP. Why do I pick Bryce Harper as my NL MVP? It's just one of those things where this guy has been so good his whole career. A couple up and down years. His numbers don't lie. His spring training was great. And this Phillies team, although I don't have them winning a ton of games and not making the playoffs, he is out to prove something. Because he signed this mega contract for a team at the time who was willing to spend every last dollar they had to put together a World Series winner. And at the time, they thought they did. They got Andrew McCutchen. They got JT Realmuto. They got so many guys. And it just didn't work. But I think Bryce Harper finally figures it out. And he puts together his best season yet. So that's it for this episode of The Hard 90. If you like this episode, share it with some friends and some family. Also, please give the podcast a rating and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and the brand new YouTube channel. Episodes will be released on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTube channel moving forward, in addition to wherever you get your podcasts. So ladies and gentlemen, take care and enjoy opening day, and I'll see you next time on The Hard 90.